Hello, everyone. This is Todd Hirsch with Solaris Medical Spa. Today I have on the line Dawn Anderson. Dawn is the Executive Director of the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition. The WBCC is a small nonprofit, grassroots advocacy organization dedicated to policy and other causes around prevention and awareness of breast cancer. Welcome, Dawn. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Todd.
So today we're just going to talk real briefly about the WBCC and some of the great things that you guys are doing. Obviously, we're doing this in the month of October, which is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Dawn, could you just give us a brief introduction of the WBCC and the mission and the history of the organization?
Sure thing. So we were founded in 1994 in a North Shore suburb of Milwaukee, like many nonprofit organizations are, around a kitchen table by some women who were concerned about the higher rates of incidence in the North Shore of Milwaukee for breast cancer. And they were instrumental by going through their state representative in getting funding for a study to go to look at why that might be. Mm-hmm. So that kind of opened the door to our niche. We went through a state rep and got state funding for this study, which is ongoing. It did indeed identify this area as a hot spot. It's gone on to identify several other areas around the state as a hot spot, and the research is continuing at UW-Madison to try to determine why those areas are hot spots. So that's how we were formed, and kind of our mission grew from that.
Excellent. Great. Well, so since this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, are you guys doing anything in particular around that, or is your activities more centered around supporting all of the other activities that are going on around the state?
That's about it. Breast Cancer Awareness Month is every month for us, but we know that the general public really focuses on it in October. So we are going everywhere we're asked to go, sending materials, educational materials, attending speaking engagements where we're asked. We're just trying to get out to everybody who wants to hear more about breast cancer during the month. And then we step up a little bit on our social media and start to share more information than we normally would. Mm-hmm. But just kind of keep the information flowing.
Very good, very good. So you recently just held a Wisconsin Breast Cancer Symposium. Is that correct? Back in June or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that go, and what was the focus of the symposium?
The symposium grew out of what we're a national plan that we're working on called the Breast Cancer Deadline 2020. What that is?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
The National Breast Cancer Coalition, on whose board we sit, announced a deadline, something historic, with a mission to end breast cancer by January 1st, 2020. We know that there will still be breast cancer in the world, but our goal is by January 1st, 2020, to know how to prevent the disease and to know how to prevent the spread of the disease, metastases, which is why most women die of breast cancer. Mm-hmm. So by focusing on these two areas that are not getting enough attention in research and in the country, because the focus is so heavily on mammography and other treatments, that we could save the most lives by taking that approach. But we have to change the focus, change the conversations. Mm-hmm. So the symposium brought researchers to Milwaukee and talked about a preventive vaccine that is ready to go to clinical trial out of Mayo Clinic, and some work being done at Scripps Institute in California that is giving us a better picture of how we might be able to prevent metastasis. So it was kind of along those two areas of focus. And it was well attended. We had a number of representatients from other breast cancer and cancer organizations around the area at the event, and we're going to follow that up in spring of 2013 with another event.
Excellent. That sounds great. Well, so you guys are a policy advocacy group. So obviously that means that you spend a considerable amount of time influencing Wisconsin and I imagine national policy.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you're doing around, let's just focus on Wisconsin legislation. What are some of the things you're doing around that to influence Wisconsin legislation around breast cancer?
Okay, so what we do is we hold an advocacy day every March, and once they start their session and we start talking to them, I'll emphasize again that we are a nonpartisan and nonprofit organization. The quote lobbying that goes on is really our grassroots network talking to their specific representatives, and that is how we operate. I'm not a lobbyist, and so we share a lot of information with legislators about breast cancer. It's amazing how little they know. We help them get their facts straight, and then we participate in coalitions around specific legislation. Going back, one of the first things we did was we got by ourselves the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Research Fund initiated, and that was the tax checkoff box where you could donate part of your refund to the research fund. For some reason, that went away in the last legislative session, so that no longer exists. But coming up, we'll be working with a group on equal access to oral chemotherapy drugs, and hopefully a broader ban on BPA, which we know is related to breast cancer risk.
BPA, well, what does BPA stand for?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that.
It's this type of plastic, right, for bottles?
It's in plastics. It's also lines cans. So almost any canned food you buy, it's in the lining of it, and it leaches into the food. And it's an endocrine disruptor, which just kind of messes up the estrogen in your body. So it is a risk factor we're seeing, especially in young girls. Those exposures add up and to a higher risk
over time. I see.
Later in life.
Okay, I'm sorry. And then you also mentioned the oral chemotherapy and access, the insurance access to that. That's something that you're working on with legislation right now to get that passed?
It did not make it to the floor in the last session, but we are hoping that it will be reintroduced in this next session, and that is important for a lot of people who their only chemotherapy option is an oral pill. The problem is a lot of insurance companies treat that as a pharmaceutical, and so you have to pay bigger co-pays than you would if you walked into your doctor's office and got an IV, which is really more expensive in the long run. But it's to level the playing field.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, interesting. Okay, very good. Well, that's all good stuff. So, Dawn, you guys are working hard every day to raise awareness of breast cancer. You need help. Right, you have you work there full time, and you have a board that works there. When they have opportunity to work there. Do you have a volunteer program, and how can people get involved?
Absolutely, and we definitely are always looking for dedicated volunteers. It could be being trained to staff booths or speak at events. It could be behind the scenes working on communications or logistics things for us. It could be as simple as joining our email network so that when we do need action on a specific bill, we can send you an email and ask you to call your legislator and tell them to support it. So, I mean, that is the easiest thing and most effective that all of us can do is to sign up for our email network and contact your legislators when you're asked to. But having said that, absolutely, we have a working board. This is not a resume-building board, and our board of directors knows that they're going to be getting their hands dirty. They really, they chair committees, they work. And so volunteers keep us rolling.
Very good. Well, that's great. And obviously not just during the month of October, but all year round.
All year round.
Excellent.
Yep.
Very good. Well, thanks very much for your time today, Dawn.
Sure.
Do you please give a shout out to the organization, your contact information, your website, so that people will know how to contact you?
Our phone number is 414-963-2103. The website is www.standupandspeakout.org.
Standupandspeakout.org. Great domain. I like that a lot. Well, great. Well, thanks again for your time, Dawn. Again, Dawn is the Executive Director of the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition, located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thanks for your time today, Dawn.
Thank you, Todd.